Welcome to Psych's The Bottom Line Pharmacy Podcast, your regular dose of pharmacy CPA advice to fuel your bottom line, featuring pharmacists, key vendors, and other innovators.
Your checks, yes, you can call me, because we the best psychs and company.
Well, welcome everybody to another episode of the Bottom Line Pharmacy Podcast. I know I am personally excited today to have a good friend and founder of Hayat Pharmacy, Hashim Zaibak, who is with us today. We were just speaking multiple times actually over the last few days in preparation for the podcast. You know, what are we going to talk about? Scotty, I was telling you, we could do a whole series with Hashim. I mean, we could have him on once a month.
Fill up the calendar.
We could talk about all sorts of subjects, and so we may have to do that, seeing how this goes. But anytime we talk about what are we going to talk about, we don't have anything to talk about. We always, for anybody that doesn't know, we wing every one of these is winged pretty much. I literally walked in 5 minutes before we started, which is usually my style. So
that's just the way we do it. But Hashim, we're glad to have you on, and it's an honor to have you on because I know you are quite a legend in the industry, if you will.
Thank you.
I guess we'll start off. Hashim, you work in obviously you have Hayat Pharmacy and the many pharmacies you've been able to grow there and your entrepreneurial spirit there. But you also work with the NCPA and the NCPA Ownership Workshop, which we also work with you there.
Yep.
I guess we'll just start off with
Can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but one of my favorite things to ask Hashim, if you don't know about the ownership workshop for the NCPA, they are done usually every trimester, and every time I see him, my question to you is, well, how many stores do you own now? And the number constantly changes. So where are we at? I mean, let's just put it out there.
We're working on 2 new stores. That's going to get us to 23 stores.
23 stores. Yeah. It's amazing. And
That's
so one of the things that I did mention, to Hashim, I would love at the ownership workshop, he was talking about kind of how he got started in pharmacy and kind of his background, which was super inspirational. Obviously, we've hit on a lot of hot topics recently in the pharmacy, arena that's kind of negative, or, DR fees. And then we've got, low reimbursements and, people having a hard time. We could go on all day with all sorts of great things that you do and how you are super successful with your stores. But I did want to touch on some of that to tell us and share what you'd like with how, you got going with independent pharmacy, because it was super interesting and inspirational at the last workshop.
Thank you. Thank you both, Scotty and Connie. Oh, gosh, I said Connie. I'm sorry. I said Bonnie. Okay.
It rhymes.
Okay, thanks.
We have a Connie here too, maybe.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you
You're
both, Bonnie and Scotty, for having me. In the last ownership workshop, I talked about my story from 1992. Right after I graduated from high school, I got my diploma and I went to the U.S. Embassy and I applied for a visa to come here as a student. And most of the people, especially if you have a refugee passport, most of the time you get rejected. So I went there. I'm like, let's try it. I did get the acceptance, and immediately I got the visa, moved to Chicago, went to a community college called Marine Valley Community College in Chicago. And when I got here, they told me, and this was not true, they told me that if you are not a U.S. citizen, you cannot go to pharmacy school. So I worked with my counselor, Sandy. Sandy, who was a very, very nice lady. She actually got me started with the English as a second language because I did not speak English when I came here. And then she called the University of Illinois, and she told them, is that true that you guys don't accept international pharmacy students? And they said, no, absolutely not. And since then, I started thinking about pharmacy. My father, at some point, he wanted to become a pharmacist himself. So that was always a dream to have a pharmacist in the family. He couldn't do it because of his circumstances, but I was able to do it, and I was the first pharmacist in my family.
And you haven't looked back. It's all just hit the road since then.
And I love how you mentioned at the workshop that day was sort of pivotal for you too, when you kind of applied for the visa.
Mm-hmm. And I
mean, like easily could have gone a different way.
I tell people, honestly, that on that day, the officer who was interviewing me could have easily said no. He didn't even have to give any reasons. No, that's a decision. And then I could have been somewhere else. Maybe I would have been in Gaza today because that's my hometown, and I would have been in this messy situation in the city, in the Gaza Strip, unfortunately. But I'm on the opposite side where I'm very successful. I have my own business, and I'm blessed.
Yep.
So awesome. The next question comes to my mind, Hashim, is so you you made the journey here, you got into pharmacy school, you got through pharmacy school. How did you get into independent pharmacy and you're being a business owner? How did that kind of get started?
I worked as an employee for about 12 years. I was a pharmacist. I worked for Julasco, which was an Albertson company. And then I was bought by CVS, so I became a pharmacist with CVS, and later I became a district supervisor with CVS. So I managed 20 stores here in Wisconsin. And one day, I was actually having dinner with a bunch of friends, and they introduced me to this doctor who's building his own independent clinic in Milwaukee, close to the downtown area. And he said that him and two other doctors are interested in building this really big clinic, I mean, with 20 exam rooms, and they wanted to put an independent pharmacy in it. I was nervous. I really was. I mean, I did not think I would be able to do it, so I went and I read some books about it. I went visited some independent pharmacists both in Wisconsin and Illinois, and they encouraged me to do it. And then a few months later, I was able to fill out all the paperwork. And when the building was done, we were there on the first day. And on our first day, we filled about 70 prescriptions. So when we were there, we were like, "Wow, this is gonna be a good story."
Nice.
That location today is filling about 2,000 prescriptions a week.
Very nice, and that's something.
Yeah.
So I bet you wish you had. I don't know if the NCPA Ownership Workshop was around then, but is that what kind of got you, I guess, involved in that? Kind of wishing you had that as you were.
Only a few months later, after I opened my pharmacy, I was introduced to the ownership workshop. So I signed up for it, and I went to the one that was in Minnesota back in 2011.
That was the first one we went to.
Yeah.
It was 2011.
Beside the Mall of America, yeah.
Yeah, so I was there, and I was one of the students, and I was really impressed. And I was like, this is something I could do. And with the ownership workshop, the nice thing about it is that it's not clinical. It's all focused on how to run the business, how to pick a good location, how to look at the financial reports. I mean, before pharmacy ownership, I never even looked at the profit and loss statement. I didn't even know what a balance sheet was.
And let me tell you, he is the star of the workshop. I mean, we always have the question and answer at the end with all the panelists. Might as well just let him hold the microphone the whole time.
I love it. People ask me
questions. All the questions are for you.
Because you know what? They're nervous. A lot of these pharmacy owners either they're about to sign a lease or about to start their pharmacy, so they're nervous, and they want to talk to somebody who was there.
Yep.
And
you're a real life example of that. They can relate to you. Yeah,
and they can say, "Hey, what challenges have you faced?" And honestly, I'm always open. I have faced so many challenges, and I've failed so many times. Actually, one of the slides in my PowerPoint is about my failures. So I share my failures with them, and I tell them, "Hey, it's just part of the journey to get to where you want to be."
Right. Yep.
What's one of the biggest failures, Hashim, that you've and what did you learn from it? If you had to pick one.
There was one time I thought that it would be a good idea to start a staffing agency here in Wisconsin. So I created a company. It was just called Zaibak PRN LLC. And I thought, oh gosh, we're going to make a lot of money because there was a shortage of pharmacists. But I found out that these big organizations, they don't like to work with a brand new business. They already have agreements with those large staffing agencies for emergencies, and they didn't want to. I was the only employee in that company. I tried to recruit people. They were not interested because it would mean that you go and work in some of the rural areas, and Wisconsin has a lot of rural areas. So a year later, I decided, you know what? I didn't do my homework studying this. I did not do my homework, find out what the return on investment is. And in order for any business to succeed, three things have to happen. You have to have the passion for it. There should be a need for it, and it should make money.
Right.
So
that last one's important. People don't realize.
You have to make
it's
money.
The same thing with pharmacy. I mean, you got to make money.
Absolutely. So
it's got to make sense.
So what I found out that there was really no need for an extra staffing agency in our area. So it did not work out.
Well, you learned those three valuable lessons maybe out of that for sure.
I did.
Hashim, what about I guess we'll get into kind of pharmacy today in 2024. You've got a lot of stores, you've got a lot of experience. What are some of the challenges and successes you're seeing right now in pharmacy? And what do you see, I guess, kind of in the future of pharmacy?
Well, you're obviously still adding stores, so you feel like it's still got a good outlook, huh?
I think I just received a letter from the Wisconsin Medicaid recognizing me as a provider for the first time. I've been a pharmacist for 25 years, and this is my first time getting a letter saying you are a provider now. So that's a big thing. That's going to open a lot of doors for us, working with physicians and being able to bill for some of those services that we've been offering for years at no charge. So now we'll be able to make money on those services and maybe expand them and then offer them to a lot of other patients. I mean, a simple thing. I mean, pharmacists have always been checking the immunization registry for patients and looking for deficiency and then talking to the patients about, hey, you really need to get this and that vaccine. But we never built for that service because we thought, hey, this is what we're supposed to do. But now we can, as providers, we can actually bill for that service and say, I did spend 5 or 10 minutes looking at the patient's registry, and I found that they are missing one or two. Maybe they need their Shingrix vaccine or pneumonia vaccine, and that's another service that we can offer. So it can be a new source of income for the pharmacies. Plus, we recently purchased a clinic here in Wisconsin. So this is brand new. This just happened. So maybe a year from today, if you invite me again to the podcast, I'll be able to tell you more about the advantages. But we're trying to integrate and see how can we make the two businesses work together to improve the outcome for the patient. Whether it is the A1C for the patients who have diabetes, the blood pressure for people who have high blood pressure, the good cholesterol number for people who have high cholesterol. So we're working and we're trying to see what we can do. What can we do, for example, on the adherence side? Now that we have access to both sides, the clinic that's sending the prescription refills and then the pharmacy, what can we do to improve the adherence for the patients, whether it's their lisinopril, their atorvastatin, their Advair, any of the chronic medications.
Great. Yeah. And I know you do a lot. I've heard you mention multiple times when you speak about the different things that you do in your community to kind of help and give back as well. And I think that's important. Talk to us about some of that.
One of the things that I try to do, for example, with the ownership workshop, I go and I teach other pharmacists about how to open a pharmacy. And then after every workshop, usually we get 1 or 2 students who come and visit us here in the pharmacy, and I show them, okay, this is a good system to use. When you open this pharmacy, these are the things you shouldn't be doing, or these are the things that you should be doing. And then locally, a lot of times we try to look for organizations that need help. For example, we work with a nonprofit clinic next door to us, and we work to offer their medication to their patients either at a deep discount or at no charge at all. If the patient cannot afford it, they're uninsured. We also work with the Diaper Mission of Milwaukee, where we actually every few months we give away tens of thousands of diapers to the community, and they really appreciate it because when it comes to certain services, for example, when it comes to food, there's a food stamps program or where they can get help from the government. When it comes to medication, there's Medicaid that would cover medication, but there's nothing that would cover diapers or the cost of diapers. So it was honestly, it's one of the best partnerships we've had. We also, I mean, in a couple of days, I'll be going to one of the high schools speaking about why it's a good idea to become a pharmacist.
Oh, nice.
And then later I'm going to the city of Greenfield that's close by, and I'll be talking about how to prevent falls for the seniors. So we're always available, and people call us all the time. For example, churches call us or senior centers, and they say, hey, would you be able to come and talk about diabetes or how to lose weight? So we're always available. Our pharmacists are available, our nurse, and then we also have our marketing team that go with us, and then we're always talking to them about our services. So hopefully they'll come and transfer their prescriptions to us.
I've been noticing some of your social media videos and things you've been doing lately. I watched one the other night. It was good.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to do more videos now.
You're a natural, Hashim. You're a natural.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, it was actually, I watched it, and not that I don't normally watch clients and, acquaintances videos, but, I actually watched it and learned a little bit about what I was, I watched the whole thing. It was very informative.
I talked about the vaccines and the deficiency of vaccines in the immigrant community.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
And can I tell you a secret?
Please.
I'm an introvert.
I can be.
I really
maybe
this. Yeah, I can go on podcasts and I can go on videos, but that's not my comfort zone. My comfort zone is just being away from the camera.
Yeah. So, all the stuff that you're doing, what time do you get up and what time do you go to bed? Do you rest? How are you?
I
feel like you're very busy. I can't, in my mind, when people have multiple stores, and I work with this, but I still, kind of like Jonathan at the workshop as well, just got a lot of stores. I'm always I'm like, do you just wake up and then your phone just goes off all day? Like, I'm just imagining.
You got to have a good team, right?
Yeah, you got to have kind of a key person maybe in most of these locations.
Usually people who start a business, they're looking for things. They're always looking for ideas. So even when I'm off, I'm always like sometimes in the middle of the night, I'll send my business partner, hey, what do you think if we should start doing this? Or how about if we do this? And how about this new idea?
Well, when it comes to you have to just go ahead and write it down. Like, if it pops into you in the middle of the night, you don't want to forget.
When I was an employee back before 2011, it was really easy to punch out and just disconnect. I can't do this anymore. I wish I could. But
those days are long gone.
No. There's always you're always looking for ways to improve the business and how one of the things I've been working on recently is the culture. How can we improve the culture, and how can you motivate the employees? And
we have the same conversation. I mean, you want people to realize, especially employees, how much you value them and what they do for the firm and for the pharmacy. And so we have those same conversations day in and day out.
It's
hard.
A challenge. It really is a challenge. And now we're dealing with the different generations. There is the Gen Z, the millennials, the Gen X, the baby boomers. So we have to know how to motivate, and they're completely different. Completely, like the way you motivate a Gen Z is very different than motivating a baby boomer or even somebody my age, a Gen X.
Right.
So it's been, to be honest with you, and especially after the pandemic, there has been a shortage of labor here in Wisconsin. So finding good employees has been a challenge, and then keeping the good employees you have. Because of the shortage, other organizations are paying higher salaries. So you have to make sure, you have to give them other reasons to stay with you besides the salary.
Right. You want them to buy in.
What other things are you doing, Hashim, from that culture standpoint and team building standpoint? How do you guys, keep a cohesive team with 22, 24 stores or so?
At my position, it's hard for me to. Obviously, I can't meet with 160 people once a week or twice a week. So what I do, I talk to the people who work with me. I take care of the people who are going to take care of the people who are going to take care of the customers.
Right.
And I keep reminding them that employees are human beings. They can make mistakes, because sometimes we get mad. Oh, I can't believe they did this, and then you start labeling them. Oh, this employee maybe doesn't have good customer service, or this employee is lazy. But truthfully, they're just human beings.
Right.
I mean, they make mistakes. Yes, maybe sometimes they come late. Yes, maybe sometimes they have a bad day and their productivity is not that high. But at the end of the day, you look at them as a package, and you accept them with the total points that they have, the good and the bad.
Was it you that mentioned at the workshop about having an employee once recently that was upset? And I don't remember the specifics, but you said you just kind of let that person speak.
Yes, that was me.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking it was you. It was I really took that home. I was like, that's a good, and you didn't do anything or say anything. You just let them talk.
No.
And then everything was fine.
Because Bonnie will butt in on somebody talking real fast.
I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn from that.
I listened that day, she was extremely upset, like really, really upset. So I brought her into the room, and she was just talking literally for about half an hour. She was talking occasionally I would add a reflection, and I would see, like, I see that you're pretty mad, or I see that person really upset you. But that's it. I did not give any advice. I did not recommend anything. I did not tell her what to do or what not to do. But then at the end, she was so relaxed. And then she sent me a text message later. Thank you for listening. That's it.
Yep.
She said, thank you for listening.
She got it off her chest.
She got it. And now we're really good friends. I mean, honestly, we are. So, honestly, she's one of those people that you really have to take as a package. She's not perfect, and neither am I.
That's right.
So just take them the way they are.
Scotty and I were just talking about that yesterday. All of us make mistakes, 100%.
Yes.
Especially Bonnie. I'm just kidding.
One time, as a pharmacist, I've made mistakes. One time I dispensed hydrocodone instead of oxycodone. It was the same milligram and everything. It was just a human mistake. I made it. I caught it. I apologized.
I'm glad I don't do that job.
That's a hard job.
There's no telling what people would do.
I don't want to.
It is.
Gosh, my mistake would kill somebody. So I don't want to do that either.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. And then looking at the tablets, making sure it's the right tablet, the right capsule. I wear glasses now with amplifying glasses that I have to make sure that I'm reading the right, or I'm giving the right capsule or tablet to the patient.
Hashim, are any of your kids going into the pharmacy industry, or are they all doing something different?
One of them decided to go to law school. So Jenna is in law school at Georgetown in DC.
Oh,
that's awesome.
I know. And my son wants to become a data analytic.
Okay.
So Ali is in college for data analytics, which is needed. I mean, for the business, it's good to have somebody who can analyze data and look at spreadsheets.
I was about to say, now that could come in handy for you.
Of course. And then my third child, Omar, he's 16, and he said, I guess I have to be the pharmacist. So he's like, I guess I'm the only one who's left.
So he may do it then.
He said he might do it. But to be honest with you, I want them to do whatever they want.
Whatever they want. Yeah.
Whatever they want to, whatever they like to do. Their generation is more about autonomy. Like for me, one of the reasons I became a pharmacist is, yes, I did like science and chemistry and biology, but one of the reasons is because my father wanted to become a pharmacist one day, and I wanted to fulfill that dream for him.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I didn't think I was going to be the best pharmacist, I wanted to become an engineer at some point. I really wanted to become an engineer. But then I went to pharmacy school, and I made it. And one more thing I want to share with you. Fun fact: I was not a straight A student in pharmacy school.
I find that hard to believe.
Before pharmacy school, I was almost a straight A student. But really, in pharmacy school, I was your average student, and I made it. And so people out there who are just like me, they were average students. Just let them know there is an opportunity for them to succeed and do great things in life.
You can still do it.
Well, you engineered 23 stores, is it? So you've done it. You got that little engineering itch. Check that box.
And
there.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm sure you have a little extra time, and you could always go back.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm almost at the age of 50.
It's like the movie where the parents go back to college with their kids. I forget which one what that's called, but they would love that. Sure.
Hashim, what do you do? What do you do when you're not running the 23 stores and helping others in the community? What does Hashim like to do in his free time?
You know, my favorite thing to do is just to bring my kids and my wife and my daughter-in-law into a room, and we just talk. I tell them, put away all your phones, and let's just talk for about an hour. That's like we call it the family time. There's a book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families.
Okay.
And it's also by Mr. Covey. And that's one of the things that they recommended in the book, the family time. And since then, that is my favorite thing to do. So I'm not a very outgoing person. Again, I'm one of those people who just like if I'm not at work, I like to be home.
Yeah.
I can second that.
But I do work at home
sometimes.
I can definitely tell that I'm getting more like that as I age. I used to feel like I had to go, and now I'm kind of like, I just want to go home.
Wait until your kids are older and they go to college, and then you're gonna miss them when they're away. And then when they get married, and then you have a daughter-in-law or a son-in-law, and you want to spend more time with them. So.
Yep. I got one going to college in a few months here. So.
Hey, good. Are they staying in town?
No. They're leaving me.
No colleges in little old Eatonton.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot here. I mean, there's a few things, but no. She's good. It's about 2.5 hours away. Not too bad.
Not bad, yeah. My daughter is in DC, so I'd have to fly to. I'm actually going to visit her next week.
All right.
Anytime there's an event for NCPA.
I was about to say, are you going to the fly-in?
Yeah, so it's a perfect opportunity to go and see her.
Have you been before? I'm sure you have.
Oh yes, a few times.
So what is your quick take on that? What's the big hope from this year?
It's always been actually trying to get improve the payment models for pharmacies,
right?
Where not everything is controlled by the PBMs. Now, it would be really nice to have a system like in other countries where there's no PBMs and the cost of medications are significantly cheaper than here in the United States because they don't have PBMs. I mean, a drug like Januvia that costs almost $20 per tablet here in the United States, you can get it for 75 cents in other countries. Same exact medication made by the same company. It's a brand name drug, so there's no generic for it. Yet it's significantly cheaper in other countries. And the reason is because they don't have PBMs. But here with the PBMs, so we're always trying to lobby to control the PBMs and offer the pharmacists more opportunities to really do things that they can do. Pharmacists are trained in pharmacy school to do a lot of great things that sometimes we can't do because there's really no reimbursement for it, or we're not recognized as providers.
But good luck. I mean, I know there's a lot of people heading to that event.
Yes,
So I hope it's successful.
As there should be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty's big thing is you got to be a pharmacist. You also have to be an
You have
advocate.
to be. If you're a pharmacy owner, you got to be involved in the politics. It's as simple as that. There's no getting around it.
Yeah, and honestly, this is something new to me because I came from the Middle East, and in the Middle East, it's completely different. There is no, it's a completely different environment. So this was, it's nice to be able and to express your opinions and share it with other people, and hopefully they'll listen. And then, especially when they listen from enough people.
I know Mark Cuban has spoken about this topic. A lot of people have. Yes. We're trying to get him on the podcast. So if he hears this,
awesome.
Yeah, Mark, we're waiting for you.
Look, Austin's a man. He can get them.
Yeah, we're working on it. We hear that he checks his own emails, and so we're gonna try.
No way, he does.
I hear this.
That's word on the street.
But he's involved in this topic, so we're hoping that maybe.
Hey. He would be a good speaker.
I mean, he'd be right there with you. I'm sure the views would be similar.
He has a lot of good ideas. And
well, he'll definitely be the one to get the attention, on the matter. So that's exciting. But I do hope some changes can come from this and all the other things that people are doing to advocate for that.
It's going to take some time. I mean, I think it's going to take some time, and it's. You do one step at a time.
Yep, that's all you can do, and just keep.
But you mentioned
adding stores.
You mentioned Hashim that you just got the provider recognition there, and I think that kind of opens up the doors for the future of pharmacy, which is
Absolutely.
More of a community healthcare center rather than just a pharmacy, but you offering a wide variety of services to a community at easily accessible.
Yeah,
I think that trend is just kind of solidified with what you mentioned earlier.
I mean, in my opinion, okay, I'm going to tell you something. But I was looking at my memory box, and I found an ad from the year 2000, and it actually had my picture in it, and it was Jewel Osco, and it was saying, now you can get your flu shot at the pharmacy for the first time. And it said, you have to be 50 or older in order to get the flu shot in the pharmacy. And that's always changed. I mean, now it is very normal to go to it's actually more than 50% of the vaccines in the country are given in pharmacies. So things have changed. I mean, look how where we went, we went from, it was a brand new thing for pharmacists to be able to vaccinate, to now what it's a normal thing for pharmacists to vaccinate. And I mean, in this building here, we vaccinated over 100,000 people during the COVID pandemic.
I'll tell you something. Another fun fact.
That's a lot of people.
That is. Fun fact, since you mentioned being able to get your flu shot wherever, Alan has our local independent pharmacist come into our office, shoot us up with the flu shot. We don't even have to stop working. You talk about efficiency.
Good. And honestly, that's so. Honestly,
I'll be on a podcast and I'm getting a flu shot. Talk about customer or service right there.
Yeah, you don't even have to stop working.
Yeah. Listen. We as a nation, we know what's right and wrong. I mean, most people know what's right and wrong. We know that we're supposed to eat healthy. We know that we are supposed to exercise. We know we're supposed to get the flu vaccine every year. But what happens is that we get busy. And then there's temptations. And then we don't do the right things. And then we get mad. Why didn't I exercise? Why didn't I get the flu shot? So what Alan is doing is that he's making it easy for you to get the flu shot, so that you can't have an excuse and say I was too busy or I couldn't get it after work or before work.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah. Plus that means less call-ins for him, so there's more opportunities for you guys.
He's got his reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Scotty and I, our biggest excuse over the last few years has been the times that we haven't gotten it. I think it was, or you might have been your COVID vaccine. I can't remember.
What?
Both of us have had where we messed up, got the vaccine like 12 hours before we were leaving for a trade show or for some sort of work trip or something.
Yeah, don't do that.
And then we feel terrible. So then the next time rolls around where Alan schedules it, it seems like you have to travel like that next day, and it's like, so you put it off, and then all of a sudden you don't go get it. So it is nice to have it set up.
Absolutely.
Convenience
for example,
is a big deal.
My dad is 80 years old, so I tried to give him his vaccines on a Friday. So he still works with us in the pharmacy, by the way. He comes to the pharmacy Monday through Friday.
What?
And he puts away the McKesson order every single day in one of the pharmacies.
Ah, I love this.
So I tell him, if you want to get your vaccine, you come on a Friday so you can just relax over the weekend. And if you get fever or something, you can still function on Monday.
See? Now, see, Alan needs to incorporate that as well. He should do our flu shots on Fridays, Friday afternoons. Then we don't have it. You can't say you don't feel bad the next day.
No.
Monday, you're good to go.
Yes, exactly. So,
see, we're all learning from this.
It's win-win.
Well, Hashim, at the end of all of our podcasts, we could talk to you for hours. So we're going to have you again on some other topic that I know that you will be so informative about. But at the end of our podcast, we normally have a bottom line. Just kind of a quick summary of kind of what we learned and kind of summarize the bottom line segment. And I like to go first because that way nobody can take mine. But again, I kind of said it at the beginning, I love hearing you speak because I think you're very positive and I love your story. And I love that you have done all of this, been so successful through adversity. So I just want everybody to kind of hear that. Everybody has their own things in their own community and their own issues that they're dealing with independent pharmacy. Everybody's, has a different scenario depending on where you are. But that you can be successful, just to be positive.
Thank you. And if you talk to the pharmacists in the 80s and 90s, they had their own issues. I mean,
there's always going to be something.
Always issues. So try not to focus on the problems and be positive. There's always an area where you can really be something that's good for the patient and good for the business too.
Yep, love it. Scotty, you going to wrap it up?
I think what Hashim just said is perfect. I'm not going to go with that.
You're not going to try to overshadow that.
I'm not Hashim. He's the legend here, not me. So
thank you,
Hashim, we thank you so much for getting on and spending some time with us today. And for those listening, we thank you all for listening in, and hope if you see Hashim at the trade show or NCPA fly-in or anything, make sure you say hello and introduce yourself. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. So Hashim, thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you out on the trade shows this year.
Thank you so much. I appreciate both of you, Bonnie and Scotty. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yes. Talk to you soon.